And we are back. We go again. What a week. What a week we're into. So, welcome back to Sideline Talk, the debate. It's a bit slightly different this week. One thing I think we've all learned is that there's so much to escalate in this sport. We're going to be doing different topics each week. A bit of a slightly tricky one this week. We're talking about sexism on the field. We'll be covering mine, Sam's, and Lee's thought. But we're also lucky enough to be joined by Charlotte and Georgina. Chelsea fan and Arsenal fan. I'll start with you, Charlotte. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. It's always good to have guests on, and it's going to get interesting. But it's a nice little debate. It's something different. Georgina, you all right?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Again, thanks for having me on. It's my first time.
No, it's all right. It's all right. How are my boys? How are my friendly neighbourhood boys, Sam and Lee? We all sweet?
All good. Nice to hear your voice again, mate. And welcome, ladies.
you got to stop lying to me. You got to stop lying to me. But yeah, we'll get cracking. Obviously, it's a Thursday evening. We've got stuff to do. I think there's football again as well. To be fair,
yeah, there is.
There's always football cracking.
It's football on every day until the 29th.
It's mental, isn't it? It's kind of what we want after the week we've had.
Yeah.
So let's get cracking. Before we move into the agenda, Charlotte, you're the first person I see below me, so I'm going to ask you first, and then I'll elaborate with Georgina. What I want to know is, how did you first start getting into football? How did you start becoming a fan of the sport, and Chelsea, of course?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've supported Chelsea for now nearly 18 years, so it's been a while. My parents took me to a West Ham game against Chelsea. They're West Ham fans. I didn't turn out like that, but me and my brother are Chelsea fans. Just watching Chelsea play was something I just fell in love with, and I haven't really looked back since.
Yeah, fair. I mean, how old was you then, if you don't mind me asking? How old was you when that first?
Oh God, this is. Hold on. Hold on. No, I've just done it the wrong way.
Unbelievable.
I'm really sorry. Hold on. So I'm 7 years old. There we go. Done it. 7 years old.
7 years old. So anyway, Saturday would be a big game for you then. Obviously, not just for Chelsea, but it would be a big game for the family as well. That's quite interesting.
I can't even think the thought about losing. Oh my.
A lot of drinks.
Nightmares occur.
Yeah.
Do you watch it together as a family?
No, I'll be streaming it on my channel. So, yeah.
You can avoid, if you lose, at least you can avoid the family.
Well, that's kind of the whole plan, to be honest, especially just be in here, streaming it and be avoiding everybody.
Yeah, of course. Georgina, I'll ask the same for you. How did you, obviously, it's a bit of a different kettle of fish for you because you live out in Cornwall, of course. How did you start following Arsenal and Plymouth? You're a Plymouth fan as well. So tell me all about it. Well, tell us all about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, football was just my life, every weekend. My dad's a huge fan. My papa was basically a linesman. So every weekend we just go and sort of watch him / just play on the side between me, my brother and my cousin. So honestly, it was just, for me, I wanted to play more than anything. And the only time I'd ever really watched something was Match of the Day, when I could stay up and watch it. And then, to be honest, Arsenal was the only one that stood out to me and had me hooked the whole time, regardless of the result, obviously. But that's when I sort of just thought, yeah, that's where I am. That's me. I'm Arsenal. But on the flip side as well, I know a lot of people don't like to admit they have a soft spot for a second team. But when you live sort of far away like I do, Plymouth is the closest thing we sort of have to any sort of football league. And a lot of their fans are actually Cornish. So yeah, I go there pretty much every other Saturday, really. I love going there. And obviously it's just easier to get to. So yeah, it's just why I support both, really.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I've been Cornwall once, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have known Plymouth is the closest town to it. I wouldn't have had a clue. I just went there on a family holiday. I just know it's out in the sticks sort of thing. It's quite far from where I'm
Yeah,
from. But we all have that second team. Like I'm from Hertfordshire, Stevenage, and I support Stevenage. League Two, not the best of sides in the world, but you've got to support your hometown sooner or later, sort of thing. I think it just depends on where you're from and where you're brought up. Charlotte, so going on terms of, I mean, I wouldn't know. Obviously, none of us lads know. We don't know how it works. What I want to firstly find out is how you sort of find the impact of being a female supporting the game. Obviously, from my perspective, I would imagine it's more difficult to have that sort of, a lot of males support the sport already. Like it's quite easy, like us three and we've got Scott as well on our podcast, so it's quite easy to get into. How have you found it finding like other females that support the game? Do you think there is more of them than what we think, or is it? Do you find it difficult? Do you think there is just it's a case of just getting on with more males when you're in that sort of interest?
I feel like since getting into YouTube, I found a lot more like female YouTubers that are that are football fans. That there's quite a few of them, to be honest. I've met loads of them, and I'm lucky enough to call them friends. But like there are more than we think. Whether they're aware or not, or whether some of them are shy, some of them just stay on Twitter. Like it is sometimes that. But you mean being a woman fan is just so hard. Like people don't understand. Like you lads can have a conversation with like any other lad football fan, and you can just spurt off some knowledge, and you won't get questioned on that, whether it's right or wrong. If I was to say something about the offside rule or like a football fact, I'll get questioned on that. Like I think the amount of times I've been asked to name 5 players on my team that aren't Drogba, Ivanovic, Lampard, Terry, Essien, and I'm like, and Czech, and I'm like, but they're our best players. Like you just like I can name them, but if you're talking about best players, you're taking my best players away. I don't care that they're well known; they're my best players. But it's hard because like every move or everything you say is very much being looked at like under a microscope to make sure that like what you're saying is right, and if it's not right, they're gonna come at you with a vengeance. Like I think I got something wrong once by like maybe a couple of days, and I got told to go back to the kitchen.
I'm not laughing at that disrespectfully. It's just not surprising to me.
No, it's not like if you do something wrong, like the amount of abuse a woman gets compared to what a man would get is actually ridiculous. Like the amount of like horrific messages I get on a daily basis. I think I've had someone tell me I'm fucking brain dead, that my dog should die, that I should go kill myself. I'm a slut, a slag, a whore, all because I support football.
So bad,
and I have an opinion on it. But I mean,
Georgina, I'll ask you quickly as well, and then I'll ask Charlotte as well. Do you think, like, in terms of when you get those derogatory comments, do you think more needs to be done?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think that should be a process?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I'm sort of the person that will just sort of stay on Twitter. I am quite a shy person, so I'm so proud of all the girls that are killing it, because I've found so many and they're just absolutely amazing. And it's awful to hear that you get those sort of the comments, because at the end of the day, you're just doing something you enjoy, and you should never be put down or spoke to like that for doing something you want to do. But I mean, it's just education, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Charlotte said, you always sort of have to back yourself with what you're saying. If you say you like a certain player, you have to say why. You can't just be like, yeah, this player is the best, or my favorite. You always have to have more to it for people to actually think, oh, okay, you actually know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But the thing is, as well, it's an opinion. So you both are like ourselves and everyone with football. Everyone's entitled to their own. So why should you be questioned more so than anybody else? I don't think that's like maybe something that because we have we've never dealt with personally that we can't get our heads around.
So just because you're a different sex, why should you have any less intelligence on any subject matter just for that reason?
Yeah.
If anything,
You know,
you've probably got
everyone, we all
more
watch
knowledge
the
than us.
same game, so we all watch the same game at the end of the day.
What about you, Charlotte? Would you feel this? Do you think a lot more needs to be done? Like, I mean, my question would be, what could really be done? Because there's thousands of people out there. I've seen it myself. I'm not a part of it. It's not people I know, but I just see comments when you get, you know, these Sky Sports News or something. They do a poll and women interact. I've seen what can happen. The backlash is completely unreal. For me, it's a bit like, I mean, it's different. It's different to racism and social abuse itself. It's just sexism, but it's the same level. I don't know what could be done for any of it really, because it is just people out there. And I mean, it is a case of just these social platforms, you could say, getting a sort of verification in place. But what would you feel sort of could be done to stop because obviously you've just gone on and you've had a ridiculous amount of some of the stuff you told me. I was quite wowed at. I just thought, why go that personal? But what would you like to happen, sort of thing? Because something needs to happen, obviously.
I've accepted that nothing's going to happen on Twitter and Instagram, whether it's sexism, racism, homophobia, or anything like that. I've accepted that. Like look at for an example, UEFA didn't want the Super League because they were going to lose money. But when it comes to racism, how quickly have they acted against racism? Just like Twitter and Instagram will not do anything about sexism or racism until it affects their pocket. And if it doesn't affect their pocket, they're not going to bother with doing anything. But if we're talking about pundits, there's a few pundits I'm ready for you to sack. Like, because let me tell you, the older generation of the pundit, like the amount of underminement Alex Scott has had when she's been on, like, it's just rude. Like, she's done it. She's won everything. She's one of the greatest players to play. And you're undermining her. Like, she's not got a new job for a reason. She's not the first ever woman to take over that job for a reason. Like, but if you're going to start, you're going to have to bring in some younger pundits, because she just gets called out on everything. She can't do anything right. And yet she's probably one of the most experienced people on that panel. Yet she's the one being called out. She's
better than most of them. She's better than most of them, to be honest. I'd rather listen to her than a lot of people.
But you've got to fire the older generation, because they seem to think that she shouldn't be there. It's kind of like the vibe I get from them, that they don't really want her there. But she knows everything. It's not like she's like some random woman they've plucked off social media. She's actually an incredibly talented footballer. Like, if that's not being accepted, it is. But I think if that's not being accepted, what can women do right? If a woman who's won just about everything can't do anything, can't be accepted, like what chance do we have? Like, I know I sound very cynical and like negative, but it's just got to the point where I know no change is going to happen until it starts affecting people's pockets. Yeah, I've learned that the like hard way. Like, nothing's going to change. Like, nothing is going to change until it starts affecting Twitter and Instagram. But what I personally think they should do is make Twitter and Instagram show like you have to put your like national health number or your picture of your passport to actually create an account. Because then if anything happens, like sexism, racism, you can be caught. Like, you can't hide anymore. And I think Twitter's response to doing that actually made me realize how disgusting this place is that, well, some people don't have a passport, so they wouldn't be able to. You'd be taking away their freedom to have Twitter.
Yeah,
like,
it's such a sore situation. But I'll gather your thoughts, Georgina, because I imagine you want to sort of respond to that. But I think we all feel the same way. Like, it's not even just about sexism. It is just a case of everything at the moment. There is so much going on. You sort of have to take it all in. But obviously you're an Arsenal fan, so I know Alex Scott is massively an impact on you. I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan as well, so I don't just say that for Arsenal fans. I think Alex Scott, everyone knows, men, females, women, young girls, young kids. I think everyone knows how good she is. I prefer her to most man, especially while I listen to BT Sport, I sit there completely crying and I think, what the hell are you doing with your jobs? But how would you feel what do you think the treatment is on the field? Because obviously you're fans, you've told me your way. I know you've spoke about Alex Scott. What do you think the situation is in terms of the actual players out there itself and the officials? Because we're getting more and more officials, female officials, in the game at the moment. How do you feel the treatment is on the field for women? Do you think it is misled? Do you think they're unfairly treated?
Yeah, I think it's partly the issues are that I guess some guys feel like threatened, that they've been so used to it being a male environment and can't accept the fact that, like the Sian Massey, the lineswoman, she's been, I don't even know how many years she's been in there for now, and there's never really been something she's done wrong to think, oh well, she shouldn't be there because she's not even that good. Like, her performance is pretty much perfect. And I just think maybe some people feel threatened and don't want to accept that, you change. But on the flip side, the female game has so many males, referees, linesmen, coaches, all sorts, and they're all involved in that. So you think at some point there has to be a point where you sort of level the playing field and just like do it together. I mean, the best person for the job should always be the one that gets it, regardless of if they were a player themselves and they go on to be a manager, or what they've won, who they've played for. I think as long as you're the best candidate, why should you be pushed back from getting it, really? I also just want to say a really good point, and it's happened last weekend. Everyone knows the famous Cammy Soccer Saturday thing where you didn't realise someone had been sent off.
Yeah.
Everyone laughs about it. It's class. I love it. I watch it when it pops up and it still cracks me up. But it actually happened to Michelle Owen at the Plymouth game last week. And all of her comments were like just horrific. I wouldn't even want to repeat some of them. And you just think, well, they've done the exact same thing once. And one person is celebrated and it's laughed about, and the other person, it's like, you're ridiculous at your job and all of this. And you think the only difference is their gender, and it should just be that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me quickly jump in, Dan.
Yeah. Go on, mate.
Do you guys think that the likes of, like, say, Alex Scott and your Laurel Woods and stuff like that, females in the game and stuff like that, is helping to modernise, the modern day world of football? Like, for example, with your old school pundits, you see on your Sky Sports and stuff like that, with it just being, Souness and your Keens and stuff like that. Do you think if they more and more females are involved in any type of level of the sport, that's going to like help project like the females game in total? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Charlotte?
I don't know. Like,
I don't actually. The problem I have is not the people working. Whether you can have as many women working in football as you want, but unless the people working who are employing them are actually going to promote the women's games, you're not actually going to have any change. There's no point in you having women there if you're not going to promote the women's league. Like, you're supporting women as pundits, but you're not supporting women as football. Like, the first time next year, 36 games, next season, 36 women's games are going to be televised for the first time ever. Now, for me, I would have rather been watching the Women's League this year than the Premier League. Like, that's just, the Women's League's been better this season for me. But, Laura Woods gets a lot of stick as well. And, like, even Karen Carney, she was... what was it? Leeds, I think it was. It Leeds. She said
Leeds
something about Leeds game, and she said something about how. But if it was a man, she wouldn't have got vilified. She said they wouldn't have got promoted without coronavirus, which I'm not disagreeing with. But it's people's opinion. She's allowed to have an opinion, but it got absolutely ripped to pieces. But it's like, this picture here is annoying me at the minute, like the Sian Massey.
Yeah. I do want to bring this up. I want to get your well, I'll start with you, Charlotte, because you've just brought it up. Like, and then I can get rid of it because it is a pain. But this was, to me, I know Aguero wasn't doing anything intentionally wrong. Let's be honest. He intentionally. Yeah, no, I know that is a big word, intentionally.
I think but then I think that comes down to how you look at it.
But you shouldn't be putting your arm around anyone. I wouldn't expect him to do that around a male.
If he'd have done that to a male,
Yeah,
there would have been consequences. Because it's a female,
I agree.
there is no consequences. That's my problem. So
Yeah.
he knows if he puts his arm there, there's no consequences. He's never done it to a male, has he? Funny that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think that
I'm
was the
sorry,
problem.
like,
I think that is
he's
the problem
never
when
done
you
it
put
to a male, and you do it to a woman, and you've only ever done it to a woman. That's an issue for me, because you know you can get away with it. You know that, like, it'll just be brushed under the brush. Like, no, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Like, sometimes sorry is not good enough.
Yeah, no, I can't remember what actually happened from there. I don't think there was anything escalate, but I just remember a complete uproar on Twitter. And
yeah, because there was no punishment.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying.
Right, yeah.
But there needs to be consistency. I think you need to treat people, if there is going to be women and men in the game, which rightly there should be, I think you do need to treat them all the same. And I think this shows why it is a sort of I mean, like, yeah, you wouldn't put your arm around Mike Dean, would you? And you wouldn't put it around Michael Oliver, and you wouldn't put it around anyone else. So it's a tough one. What did you make of this, Georgina?
Well, I mean, a prime example, last night, Gundogan touched the ref, like, just lightly, and straight up he was like, no, not having that, yellow card. And he barely even, like, barely touched him.
Yeah.
At the time, I looked, when this happened, I was like, oh God, no. Because it did look, his hand went, like, on the back of her neck. And if you're going to touch someone, you probably shouldn't go there, because it's going to look suspicious anyway, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But and again, it's that thing where it all kicked off because it's like, oh, because she's a woman, you're all kicking off, and it's like, you don't want to hear that. It's just, you shouldn't be doing it anyway, full stop, regardless of if it's a male official or a female official. But again, it just kicks off that whole debate online, doesn't it? Of because you're a girl, it's acceptable. But yeah, I mean,
Georgina, I was going to say, is that frustrating to see that people are just saying, oh, because it's, well, obviously it's a female, linesman. Is that frustrating for you to see that people are hiding behind that and saying, oh, that's the only reason why you're kicking off? Is it hard to not bite back sometimes?
For sure, yeah. Like, I always think, like, I want to make my point, but what is the point? Those kind of people just won't listen to you anyway. And it's like talking to a brick wall as such with those type of people. And I think sometimes it's probably they say things like that because they either want a reaction to just say that, oh, here goes another one kicking off or something like that. But it's nuts to me. I think everyone should just be open to, regardless of what their gender is or anything else, just to be and do what they say and be who they are, really.
No,
yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think it is a case of just the fact that you comparing them, like what Charlotte spoke about earlier. You have to compare the fact that, oh, if it was a man, what would happen? And that really, I'm not saying it stirs the cup of tea sort of thing, but it does. You put it into perspective and you think, okay, you would probably not be allowed to do that. Like if Raheem Sterling went up to Mike Dean and gave him a cuddle, there'd be a lot more uproar there should be uproar. Whereas when a man does it and a girl does it, it's like there should be, even realistically, it should be uproar as well. It should all be under the same line. I want to talk about on the field now in terms of players. I know, obviously, to me, I've watched a lot of Arsenal. I mean, at the moment, Arsenal men aren't really, they're not exactly keeping me happy. But I've seen Arsenal women play, and I find it quite exciting. I think they score a lot of goals. It always seems more entertaining it's probably because I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
What do you think about the term, like in terms of Arsenal? Arsenal men playing football, Arsenal women playing football, or any team playing football, Chelsea women, Chelsea men. Do you think there is enough support for that sort of football? I'll go to you first, Charlotte, because I know, Georgina, you've been talking some time. Then I'll ask you, Georgina, on the same thing. What do you think do you think at the moment there is enough? Do you think it's seen enough? Do you think there is enough support?
I just think that, like, there's not enough promotion. Like, they'll happily promote, like, you see like a week in advance these Premier League games about Super Sunday and Monday Night Football. You see all these men's games being promoted like a week before the game happens, but I don't see no women's games being promoted, you know. And Chelsea at the minute have one of the best women's teams right now. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say this with chest in the world right now. We have Pernell Harder. Yeah, we've got Pernell Harder. She's one of the, she's literally the best we have. Like we've got Sam Kerr, got Fran Kirby, like we've got G. Who doesn't love G? Did you not see Katrin Berger's save, that one-handed save last night? Where's everyone talking about that? That was incredible. That has been one of my favourite saves of the whole season. In fact, this is the best save of the season. It was full power with just one hand. Like I didn't realize she was Superwoman. Like, dude, like Chelsea literally have one of the best teams at the minute. Obviously looking to win it in a row again. Obviously, you know, it's annoying because the women's football for me this season has been absolutely awesome. I've enjoyed every minute of it, whether it's Champions League, FA Cup, WSL. Like it's all good football and it's all good quality. And the sad thing is you're like, and I've had people come up to me and be like, are they on full goals now, like big goals? Like, and I'm like, this is the sad part, is that women weren't on normal size goals. Like
they had more than us.
They had to be upgraded to men's goals. That's, I'm not being horrible, but that's the truth. Like that shouldn't have happened. Women are capable of playing with women's, like with normal size goals, which we're proving every single day. I mean, I know Arsenal women didn't beat us, but you know, sometimes you won't get lucky.
Good little dig there. Good.
I mean,
at yourself.
I mean, whilst you're on that topic, talking about the women's game, how much you love it and everything, and all those digs you're getting about the size of the goals. How do you feel about Megan Rapinoe's fight for equal pay?
I absolutely agree.
She obviously wants the same prize money for World Cups and things like that.
But do you know what? I think people don't like her because she comes across as cocky. I get that she comes across as, but what you see, Paul Pogba is cocky. There are plenty of men that are cocky. Neymar, Mbappe, Haaland, they all come across as cocky. But are we dissing them? No. But because Megan Rapinoe is a woman and she's coming across as cocky because she knows she's damn good at her job, and you can't fault that. She is, and because she's doing just as good as job. I don't see Haaland with a World Cup. I don't see Pogba. I mean, Pogba's got a World Cup. I'll give him that. But, you know, Pogba, Mbappe, they both have a World Cup, like, and they act the same, but they're not getting half the credit. Neymar acts like the cockiest of them all, and he hasn't won a World Cup yet. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, she like, it frustrates me because she actually deserves. The women deserve the same pay. Like, I don't get why we in the 21st century we're having this kind of discussion when actually women are performing just the same, sometimes even better than the men. And we have to have and women are going to have to fight so hard to get equal pay. This is what annoys me. Like, men can like have a little hissy fit and be like, here's a pay rise for you. Women have to fight. They have to go through tribunals. They have to go through courts just to get something I think they're owed.
Do you feel like there's obviously a lot more money in general in the men's game in terms of revenue, sponsorships, things like that? So do you not feel that's part of the reason why the men's game is a lot more higher paid?
Yeah, but why isn't it the same for the women's? The women's, for me, right now this season has actually been better than the men's. If you look at Chelsea as champions, they're actually defending their titles, unlike Liverpool. I mean, the Chelsea women are defending their titles. Liverpool lost in the first month, lost 7-2 to Aston Villa, and decided not to turn up this season. But they've got
please say it again.
He's a Liverpool fan as well.
Please say it again.
He's a Liverpool fan.
I love to hear it.
He's
like,
a
I
Liverpool
mean,
fan as
I'm
well.
not
That's
gonna
brilliant.
lie. Chelsea women's team have been better than the Liverpool team this season. You lost 7-2. You won. You've after 30 years of not winning the Premier League, you decide to win the Premier League, then bottle the next season. When I say bottle, you decided to actually. What I mean, I don't really know how to describe this. You decided to beat a record of most losses at Anfield. Great job there. I mean, Everton hadn't beaten you since 1999. Phil Foden, who got the second goal, he was 2 years old when they last beat you. But I mean, it's all fun and games. But Chelsea women, we're out here, like we're doing great. We're top of the league. Like we haven't bottled it.
Here we go. This is gonna add some fuel to the fire. I'm gonna bring Georgina in. I'm gonna bring Georgina in because you've been a bit quiet, and I know you play football, Georgina. So this is quite an interesting one. So let me bring you in, then we'll go back to Charlotte.
I mean, especially in America, like the game is so different out there.
Yeah.
And obviously, the women are just like absolutely killing it. I mean, they win World Cup consistently, but how does that not deserve a decent pay grade to match what the men are doing? Because let's be honest, the men are pretty. I mean, they're getting there. They're getting some good talents through now, but the women have been there, like raising the game for. I mean, I do struggle with it because I think it's just not on enough. And it's hard to then, like, you know, people, I think, base their ideas that they hate the game because of one story that was like, I can't remember what team it was, but they lost, some women's team lost to like a group of 15-year-olds. And that was years ago, but yet still people think that that's their argument of why the game is so bad. It's like, well, you probably haven't even seen a game now in now's time. You know, watch an FA Cup game when it's on, and I'm pretty sure you'll change your mind, or they're just not open to accepting that actually the game is good if you decide to actually sit down and watch it. I mean, yeah, I play, and the difference. I did take a good few years break because I just couldn't be bothered anymore, to be honest. But with this lockdown and stuff, I decided to go back, and it's the best
What's
thing.
it like at that level? Can I ask you? Like, obviously, you play at like a lower level grade. What do you think? Do you think there is a borderline in terms of the? I'm not going to say grit because that sounds a bit horrible. I think there will always be grit in football, but how do you feel it is like playing on a Sunday league in a women's sport? Do you think there is that sort of? I'm not speaking for myself here, but some people do think, you know, it's a bit of a tougher game in a men's sport. I don't agree. I don't agree or disagree. I wouldn't really know because I don't watch enough of the women's, to be honest. I've seen like vaguely small amount of games. But what would you say to that if someone was to tell you that there isn't enough grit in the women's sport? Obviously, you play at a lower level to professional. So I'm talking in terms of, say there's a women's game here, there's a men's game here. To me, I'm seeing the same sport. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's not like people think that we don't want to tackle each other in case we hurt ourselves. That's not how it is. Like, we will go in as hard as possible. I'm one for the elbow. I want her to know that I'm there, and I want her case. And I'll
love that.
Georgina, you ever seen Lee play?
You know, that's what it's all about, the contact. You know, we're not scared of being hurt.
Right. I can get behind that.
So if we do get tackled, we get back up again straight away. There's no, like, if you watch the women's game and they get tackled, yeah, they might have a little breather for a second, but they'll be getting back up again. There's no looking to see, oh, ref, look, I've just been.
Unlike men.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're
Charlotte,
right.
let's bring you back in. Charlotte, I feel like you want to say something from old Scotty boy's message.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Can we just pin this? Let's pin this comment up, and then we'll let you speak.
I just want to, like, I'm sorry, just to clarify, every FA Cup final for women is in Wembley. And the same as the men's, it's in Wembley. Just because we don't have the sponsors, just to clarify, remind me of another men's team that's like won 2 World Cups in a row. You know what? I'll wait for the US women's team to tell you they've done that. So they really should be getting the same pay. If actually they're doing better than the men's World Cup right now, maybe they'll do 3. I don't know. Maybe England will be better. I don't know. But you know,
Charlotte, can I ask you quickly? Do you think it's in terms of like, you know, when they're the revenue and stuff like that? Do you feel like for the women's game there's not enough advertisement for them to have the opportunity to bring that revenue in.
And getting a crowd as well as much.
I think. Do you know what? I think the problem is that there's firstly the promotion of matches that's just not done. Even if a match is on BT Spot, they'll advertise it like on the day. They'll let you know that the game's up next or the game's one after next, but they won't advertise it like a week before like they do the men's games. There's not enough promotion.
Yeah.
The football teams are promoting themselves on Instagram and Twitter, but you don't see Sky Sports or BT Sports being like, guys, women's game's on now. Check it out. Don't see that. You just don't. And that's sad to see because from my competition, like women play harder football. Like you see, like speaking of Georgina's play, like women do tackle well. They tackle and they get right back up again. Like they do. And then
I think he's got a death wish. He's got a death wish.
He does. Yeah, bye. See you later.
Bye.
Just you wait.
I'm
back in because I'm sure it'll.
Do you know what? I bet he's like a Spurs fan that like
he supports Watford. He supports Watford.
Oh God,
Watford.
my thoughts and prayers are with you, hon. Like you take care and you enjoy that. I'm actually enjoying top of the league football at the minute. So and I'm actually enjoying Champions League. I mean, one day, maybe in like 40 years' time, maybe you'll enjoy that when people actually want to your club, want to come to your club that are actually good footballers. But until then, pipe down, hon. Thanks. Please.
Sorry, that was a breath of fresh air for me. But no, to be honest, I completely agree with everyone with what people are saying. I think we need to be honest. In terms of like us, there's too much football going on at the moment to even appreciate what women's football brings to the table. Like there's so much men's football. I mean, especially if the Super League came on, bloody hell, I wouldn't even know where to start because they were just football left, right, and centre. But like we said, this week there's a game every day. But yeah, next year will be interesting because, like you said, women's league is coming to the TV more than what it should, and I think that probably should have been brought to the table a little bit sooner than what it has. I think people like Alex Scott have sort of had an impact on that because
is that in terms of like your not your terrestrial TV but like your Sky, your BT and everything like that?
So it's gonna be coming. So 36 games are going to Sky Sports. Okay. I believe that's the WSL. Mm-hmm. I believe the Women's FA Cup will be shown on the BBC again next year. And I believe BT Sport will be covering the rest of the games that aren't covered on Sky. Because I believe all WSL games are going to be covered next year.
So, sorry for my naivety, and this isn't like.
No, it's fine. Like I'd rather people know. I'd rather people know so they can like be like, yes, this is happening. Like we can watch like if you're a Liverpool fan, you can watch Liverpool women's. They're probably doing better than the men's right now. But you know.
Well, in terms of like when it comes in terms of like the European Championships, the World Cups and stuff like that, is that done on the same rotation as like the rest of the men's team? Like when's the next one for the like?
So the World Cup was in 2019, so it's every 4 years. So that'll be 2023,
so
and then
is the Euros up next for the women's?
Yes, Euros is up next. Which
the World Cup it was the World Cup that actually kind of like not massively put it on the map, but like it projected it to another level, isn't it? Because
because they put it on BBC.
It always does.
They put it on. They put it on BBC. England were in the final. We lost, unfortunately. It is what it is.
I remember when they were part of like. I remember on Xbox
still
when
let
they were
us down
part of the FIFA. I remember even a part of FIFA. I'm not gonna lie, I did a whole like season in a women's just to see who people were. And when you mentioned Fran Kirby, she was a baller. I remember just scoring the free kicks for fun. But other than that, I'd be real with you. I didn't really know who people were. I knew Arsenal players and perspective, whatever. But in terms of like knowing the actual full squad and knowing, you know, tactics they play, formations they play, I wouldn't have had a clue. But it'll be good to see them on TV. And I know some people may say like, oh, but there's enough football. Like you've seen Scotty Boy there ranting. I think it I think it would be nice. Oh, we got another comment here. Oh, this is from one of our own, unfortunately. Well, I'll say one of our own. He's on his own, but what do you make of this, Georgina? We'll go to you first, and then I know Charlotte's going to have a little breather, and then we'll see what. But what do you make of this comment, Georgina?
I mean, it's not a competition, is it? To who's better, is it? Let's be real. We're just trying to get.
No, that's not the topic. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always like they're being threatened of when it's the women that are being promoted on the telly. They're like, oh wait, why are they there? We already watched too much. It's like, well, you didn't say that against like so and so last weekend. You don't moan when that happens. You only seem to moan when the girls are piping up. I do just want to say as well, actually, I've noticed a couple of the England women's game have been on TV at like midday during the week. I mean, when has that
very good comment. Yeah, very good comment.
It's not helpful, is it? It's not helpful.
I didn't even know. I was at work and I was like, someone had put something about it. And I was like, oh, God. And obviously I didn't watch it because I was working, but I didn't even know. And I just thought to myself earlier, I thought, in no planet would that happen for the men's game. You know, it's on TV at a certain time so that the majority of people...
Men's games is all built around sort of TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been part of the argument this week about football for the fans. Maybe they should think about the TV times more. For example, away fans going to games from Chelsea to Newcastle. If it's an evening game, how are they supposed to get back home?
Yeah, like on Monday night.
All the games are around TV.
Instead of putting on like a Saturday night, you know, the 8 o'clock ones, like a Palace Chelsea or something, give it up, take that spot away, and let's project the women's game by giving it like it could be anyone in the WSL. I think I don't want to be horrible, girls. I just don't see it happening like rapidly, you know.
It's been good to see. I think one example of the WSL getting some players over from overseas, like was it Alex Morgan went to Tottenham not too long ago for a bit.
Man U still have Tobin Heath and Christian Press World Cup winners over there. That's not acknowledged. But I mean, if you look at it, Chelsea versus Wolfsburg, we've never beaten them. Every time we've played them for 3 years in a row, they've kicked us out. And the one time we beat them and we were winning in the first half, our second leg match is at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not like Chelsea advertise it, but no one else does. Like, it was on BT, and I didn't see BT advertising it. I didn't see BT post anything. I was like, BT, I'm waiting for you, mate. Like, hi, Han. Like, I'm still waiting.
You want those big European games under the lights, don't you?
Yeah.
Charlotte, really? I think Scott's trying to bite your tongue for
you. There's another one.
I mean, is that like sort of like an apology? Like, are you trying to apologize for being
I'll take that
like out of line? I'm taking that as an apology.
Fair play. Yeah. He said fair play, so that's an apology. To be fair, he's just saying you've won.
I'm gonna take that as an apology. Like, don't come for me if you want to get like losing. But you know, I don't play those kind of games. Like, I'll bite all I want, but like, it ain't gonna be pretty for you. Like, see you later.
No,
you know, but
I appreciate that. To be fair, everyone's the same, innit? Everyone's the same.
It is fair though. Like, men are more involved, but on the fact of sponsorships and prime TV time, if women had prime TV time and sponsorships, would we be having the same conversation? The answer is probably yes, but it wouldn't be about. It would be about how many matches are being on at that time, not whether we're getting time.
This is a good comment from Warren, to be fair. Sorry to cut you in, Charlotte. I'll go back to you. He said about better promotion, basically echoing what Georgina said. Shout out to Warren. He's been in the chat, to be fair, a lot tonight. That he said about how the fact that prime time, kickoff times has had a big impact on the fact that men's gets watched a lot more. Like you said about the 12 o'clock kickoff. it baffles me. I'm glad
do you let me quickly jump on that. Do you think do you think in our lifetime that will be something that's given up? And if so, do you think it'll be given up easy? Do you think it's going to take yourselves and everyone else picking up for it to be the problem that they're actually going to look at and actually answer?
I mean, I can see a fight happening, to be honest. Like, I really can. Yeah. I'd like to just clarify, not like an actual physical fight. I don't want to see people with swords like Game of Thrones, nothing like that. But like, if we're talking about like protests and shit, I think, yes, that's going to happen. I think you have to make noise to be heard. And if you don't make the noise, you're not going to be heard. And it's like Alex Scott and people, Laura Woods and people like that, and like all these retired female football players are saying things, like Karen Carney, like they're all saying things, but it's like it's going in like one ear and going right out the other. And so they like processes it as it goes through, but then it doesn't go in. But I feel like if you protest and you made enough noise, like I think there would be a different situation, because if people start boycotting, I think you have a little bit of a problem.
No, I completely get that. And Georgina, let me ask you this on that topic as well. Do you think that they're bringing these female pundits in and these presenters in as well, like on merit, or do you feel like they're there because they are a voice of women's football? What do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I always think for the best. I hope they're getting their jobs because they rightly deserve it. And it's nice to have a mixture of the two, to have a male and a female, and then you can both bring your points to the game like we are. I think it's more than just like the gender gap in football, isn't it? If you've got the idea in general life, then people are going to bring that into the game and think, well, if you don't want a girl in the pub with you, then you're not going to fancy turning on the telly and that. I think it was on International Women's Day, actually. They had a full female, the pundits and the presenter, all four of them, I think. And the uproar for that was insane. And you just think, man, this was one time in a year that this happened. And they couldn't even just be like, well, this is a nice change. It's always got to be, well, what are they doing here? I don't want to sit and watch them talk about something they don't know, which clearly they do. I think it's going to take a hell of a lot of fight, as Charlotte said, to change people's mindsets, really.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, that women's pundit, that woman that on the International Women's Day, that was the best panel I've seen in a long time. I enjoyed every single minute of that. Like, I just want to bring them all back, because they literally it was the most I've enjoyed. Apart from Roy and Micah, I enjoy them because their banter is beauts. Yeah. And Roy Keane just doesn't have a filter, man, like me. Like I relate to him so much. I don't have a filter, but that women's panel was absolutely fabulous. I've enjoyed every minute of watching them, and I was like, people are complaining, but do you know what? It's because they know more. They're showing that they're succeeding, and they're showing off their talents, and people don't like that. And I'm like, cool story. You go sit down in your sexist corner where there's not many people, and it's dark and damp, and there's a hole in your roof, and you go back, live there. I feel like there should be a corner of England where we just corner it off, chuck all the sexists in there, and have a big brick wall with electric wire on the top and no door, like the Game of Thrones wall, because there's no dragons anymore, so they can't be blown off, and just leave them there.
Yeah.
No, but
with no TV or nothing, so they can't complain.
It shows, it shows like anything, it's a modernization of completely, in everything, in terms of a way of life, jobs, stuff like that. Even in football, well, football is what this topic is about, but it's a modernization of football. You wouldn't. No one would batter an eyelid if you were to go down the pub with 3 or 4 lads, watch the game, and then come home. Do you know what I mean? So why should it be any different if you go into a game, watching it, coming home? Why is it such an issue? It's not an issue at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, apparently it is, because I think there's a lot of. I don't think when you're bringing in a panel of all women that it helps you have men undermining the women. that like have been at BT and Sky. I'm not going to mention any names.
Go on, mention them. They're not going to watch this.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. I think we all know.
Graham
we know who it is.
Graham Souness is one of the worst for that. He literally, like, he makes my, like, if I could get away with slapping anybody, he would be first on my list. Like, just
we all hate him. He's a prick.
Just slap
more than
sense
Richard
into
Keys and
him.
Andy
Like,
Gray.
it's the way he like looks down on Alex Scott. It makes me annoyed. I'm like, hun, that's Alex Scott. Do you know who she is? Like, hun, do you know who she is? Like, back off. Like, who are you? Like,
while we both got you here, Lee literally just refreshed my memory on the Richard Keys and Andy Gray thing. You know when they the famous left the mic on and stuff like that for both of you. Does it frustrate you that one, it's happening, it's about and stuff like that. Conversations are always going to be like that, unfortunately, because that's just the way. Well, it shouldn't be an excuse, but it's the world we live in. Are you annoyed that they can just simply be fired from that sort of type of high-profile job and get walked straight into another on another channel?
yeah, that annoys the shit out of me. That I'm like, you've just been sacked for sexism. It's like this is how I see it. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just giving a same situation. If they were talking about racism, they wouldn't have had another job. They wouldn't have had another job. Like, but I can't. It annoys me. Like, I just end up not being able to speak because I'm like, I get so annoyed and angry because I'm like, so if it was about racism, they wouldn't have a job again. But because it's women, like, but just because it's woman, like, it's just because it's a woman. Like, that's literally the excuse they give.
I was surprised they still had a job, to be honest. Like, the only time I see them is when I stream. If I'm out in the pub or something and I need to stream a match, I just see this really old-looking Richard Keys. And I always see, like, Andy Gray, like, on these Dubai streams. And I think, like, Ian Sport. And I think, how the hell are you still working? I was surprised. I only found out, like, 2 months ago. And I did, like, I'm probably going to... I mean, Andy Gray was a great commentator. Don't get me wrong, one of the very best. I'm not talking Martin Tyler, but he was great. Like, he's not like your Steve McManaman now. I would take Andy Gray back in a heartbeat. Other than what he said, I just think I agree. If you're talking about racism, I know you can't really with racism and sexism. A lot of people would say, "Oh, one's one, one's another." But to me, you're still breaking some sort of law, like in terms of what you're meant to be doing, and keeping people fair.
They tried to defend it at the time, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, that's the stupid thing.
Richard Keys coming out saying it was just
back them as well.
That's the worst. That's the worst. All they needed to do was be like, yes, we messed up. We apologize. People would have taken it better than them being like, oh, we did nothing wrong. Like, because that just came across as them being like, it's just women. We don't really care. Like, that's how it came across when they were like, we're not sorry, like, we did nothing wrong.
But do you think that just completely shows to the point what we touched on earlier about modernization of the game and stuff like that in terms of like pundits and everything like that? That just shows, no disrespect to them, like, hey, yeah, they were fantastic pundits. But like, let's be real. 2 fucking 50-year-old men in there, like, that are so out of touch with the real world, they've got money to blow and stuff like that. Just shows that that's just their thoughts on the game, and it's disgusting.
But don't you think at the same time, like, they've probably got wives, and
love to know what they thought of it. Love to know what they thought of it.
What if there's on the other? If someone was saying it about their family member,
shoes on the other foot.
That you wouldn't want.
Maybe even daughters.
Yeah, but this is my point. Like, they don't think that way. They just think their job's at risk and just get nasty. Like. And I mean, I don't get it, especially when you have to work with people. Like, you've been so nice to their face and then you slag them off. Like, being two-faced must be really, really exhausting, like that's probably why Graham Souness is so aged so badly. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, dude, he looks like he's like 90. Like, dude does not look good. Like, Botox and a little bit of hair dye doesn't help. Like, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not gonna disagree. I hate the prick. I think
I'm pretty sure just for men's only like $2.99 in B&M. Like, I'm sure he can afford that. Like, and I'm sure he can go to Harley Street to get some Botox. Like.
Yeah. We could all do with a bit of that, to be fair. We'll try and come off the girls. It's been an amazing chat. Like, we've all appreciated you coming on. It's not an easy thing to talk about because it does get you heated. Charlotte, I know you've got a stream in an hour, so I want to try and get off this topic a little bit so you can, gather your thoughts, take it away, bit of a fresh air, bit of a breather, and then you can go again.
Yeah.
But we spoke about, I can't remember which one of you, but one of you spoke about voicing. Putting their voice out there and, voicing your opinion. Let's talk about the protest because I know you're a Chelsea fan, Charlotte, so I'm going to start with you because it was a sort of icing on the cake in terms of the Super League. It seemed to be, I'm not going to agree that it was the reason that things have stopped, but I think it was the reason why, things come to a close. Yeah, it started.
I mean, I don't need any big six team ever bashing Chelsea again for the rest of the season. Like, no one, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Spurs, none of them have a leg to stand on. And Fabrizio Morano is like, oh, there was only 40 of you. Hun, do you have eyes? Can you see? Go to Specsavers. There was not just 40 of us. Like, loads and loads and loads. Like, it was crowded. Like, Peter Cech came out.
Better than Tottenham's.
Yeah, we had Peter Cech come out. We had Peter Cech back in our corner. Like I just it was definitely needed, to be honest. The protests, whatever this. I can't even say it. The
result weren't great though, was it? Like I think it was too much on the players' shoulders.
But it's just I don't want to see my team playing I'm sorry, I'm going to be really horrible here. How Arsenal and Spurs even got into this? Like, Arsenal are 10th.
I'd agree.
Arsenal are 10th. You guys are struggling to beat teams. Actually, you're struggling to get into the top 5. And Spurs, Bottleham, how did they make it? Like, Spurs don't have a Champions League. I'm sorry, Arsenal don't have a Champions League. Literally, the only reason Spurs and Arsenal went in there was so they could have a Champions League opportunity because they can't win it themselves. They have to buy an opportunity.
If we win Europa, I'm getting you back on. By the way, I'm going to be like,
can you also get me back on if Man U win? Thank you.
Yeah, savage.
Thanks. Because I see Man U beating. I don't see you beating Man United.
Beat him.
Georgina, stand up for us. Come on, we need you here.
Yeah, come on, Georgina. This is your time to intercept.
I mean, we haven't even conceded a goal this season to them, but or lost.
Yeah, true.
It's about on the day with those kind of games, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you've bottled a final before, Baku 2019.
Cheers. We might talk about that. But how do we mute her? Joking.
No, but yeah, we're based on the protest. How do you feel about your owners, Charlotte? I don't know much about Chelsea. I know that Arsenal won out. John Henry at Liverpool seems like the same prick that Kroenke is. But what is it with Chelsea? What's going on? I haven't really heard many fans sort of call for him.
I don't actually want Roman Abramovich out. I genuinely.
Of course you don't know.
He's got money.
There's 2 reasons, but I'm also going to defend another team as to not getting rid of their owners as well. I believe City and Chelsea should not be sacking the owners. Do I believe people should be getting sacked? Yes. Do I think they were cornered after United, Arsenal, Spurs, and Liverpool all signed? Absolutely. I think.
Who do you think were
though? Bruce Buck needs to go, and Marina Granskanov needs to go as well. Because Marina Granskanov runs things.
Was that
while Roman's not there?
I was going to say, do you think that a lot of the protest was that what it was? A lot of people were calling since obviously you've come out and said, we don't want to part of the league. A lot of people have called for Buck to go, haven't they?
Yeah, I want Buck gone. I also want Marina Granskanov done because she signed Kepa. And I'm not going to lie, that man is the biggest flop of the year.
Right,
Although I keep telling people he's done like his Danny from Greece kind of hairstyle, the slick back hair, and he's started saving shit. And I'm like, did you just need Danny Grease hair for like the whole season? You could have been like this, like. But no, Kepa's done. Like, I'm ready to get rid of him.
Odd one, isn't it? Because it's a bit of a United situation. Because United have now got like 2 good keepers, and it's like Henderson, De Gea. I mean, De Gea's had his shockers, yeah, fair be, but he isn't really old in terms of goalkeeper age. So
no, he's not.
Now you're in a situation where you've got Edward Mendy. I've not seen enough of him to compare, and then you've got Kepa.
But I think if you look at how bad
that situation is,
if
Kepa's had so many chances.
If you compare, this is how I compare. This is how I make people see how bad Kepa is. Peter Cech came back out of retirement to be our 3rd goalkeeper. Kepa was that bad. Kepa was that bad. Peter Cech came out of retirement. Just let that all sink in. Like, man hasn't been a goalkeeper for a long ass time, and he came back out of retirement because Kepa was that bad. Like,
he actually played a reserve game, didn't he?
He did. He did. Like, he was practicing because Kepa was that bad. Like, Mendy for me is 10 times better. Well, I mean, for me, Mendy's an average goalkeeper, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?" But he's an average goalkeeper. He does his job. He's not world class. Can he become world class? No, he can become great though. But look at Oblak, world class. Like Jan Oblak is world class. You can't be comparing Eduardo Mendy to Oblak, even though Oblak.
Do you think Mendy
even though Giroud got a goal?
Do you think Mendy's been successful to the point of, obviously, you know, he was obviously brought in under the last manager as well, but like he's now shining because, let's be real, since Tuchel's come in and stuff like that, somehow you've turned that defensive performances around.
Yeah, basically since Lampard buggered off, we've been doing great.
Yeah, you've learned how to defend.
Well, I mean, the problem is when you have a manager that gets like it's like make a wish, like give your like ex-player the dream job. Like, that's literally what they did. They gave Lampard his dream job when he'd had one season.
Charlotte, here's one for you.
Let's let Charlotte calm down because I think she's just going to go in.
Why are you taking it in? Georgina, quickly, let's ask you about the protests as well going forward. Do you think that's the right way about it and stuff like that? Because obviously we've pulled out the Super League as Arsenal fans. Do you feel like this is the best way to get at Kroenke or not?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, turning up shows that you care. There's no point sitting behind a screen and putting a hashtag and then expecting things to change, is it really? I mean, I know they had a bit of a fans forum thing over Zoom with Josh Kroenke earlier, and there was some tough questions.
Does anyone know what happened there? Did you? Yeah, can you elaborate for us? Because we didn't.
Load of bullshit. It was a load of bullshit. They just apologized.
He was just like, yeah, sorry. Because of COVID, we haven't been connecting with the fans. It's like, mate, COVID has only been going on for a year. What about the other?
He ain't been in the Emirates for fucking 10 years.
Exactly. COVID hasn't been around that. Like, it's easy to behind a screen for him to say things and not have to face someone like face to face that's angry at him. And obviously him coming out rather than Stan is just another thing of just pieing it off, really, isn't it? But I think I'm interested to see what the turnout is tomorrow for sure.
We'll send you a live video on. We're on Instagram, so just
going to be a part of it.
Look out for us.
Apparently, Stan Collymore tweeted that Stan Kroenke to sell Arsenal Football Club, and he also tweeted that if the protest tomorrow evening is big enough, it could convince Kroenke to sell.
We'll see. I think he's too much of a stubborn prick.
Dan, let me ask why Lee's there as well quickly, because obviously, like what Charlotte just touched on, obviously not wanting Abramovich to go and all this and that lot. Lee, because obviously you've been successful with your owners and stuff. Do you feel like if you don't, if you guys would that be something that Liverpool fans would do or not?
Yeah, pretty much every Liverpool fan is FSG out, mate.
Really, even though in terms of the recent success.
Yeah, squandered.
When did they play? When did they?
I can credit them a little
Monday,
bit because they obviously took over from the shit show owners they had before with Gillett and Hicks. But they're just making so many mistakes, like when they tried to raise the ticket prices to 80 quid a game, whatever it was. And now the Super League, the statement they put out when they pulled out was just embarrassing.
Did you see the video?
At least Arsenal's had an apology. Yeah, I saw the video. I saw the video.
To be fair though, at least you guys like. Yeah, I know there was not much emotion. I'm not saying like it was, heartfelt.
Yeah, the only plus I'll say about his video.
He done it.
Yeah, the only plus I'll say about the video is obviously he's the first person. He was the first owner to actually properly apologise in person in a way. And
probably because of the time difference.
In the message, he actually tried to separate himself from the club and say like it was him. But yeah, I think for that he's got to go.
Yeah. I find that fascinating though, just simply because of like the recent success as well.
It's just like they're trying to Americanise the club a bit too much.
Yeah, I get that.
There's other things going on. Yeah.
Girls, we've had your time. We've had your time, so we'll let you gather sort of. But I want to get predictions because there's big games this weekend. Arsenal, not so much. The league is over, but we've got Everton tomorrow night. They're looking for some sort of Everton are looking for a Europa spot at least. We're just looking for confidence going.
The game ain't going ahead tomorrow, mate. Everyone's still in the Emirates.
Yeah, we're
going to get inside.
We're still
who's going to come off the team bus like check?
It'll probably be Aubameyang with malaria. But we'll Georgina, I want your prediction for tomorrow, just straight up. No words, just prediction.
Draw.
Score prediction. Draw.
2-2.
2-2. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, I want to say many thanks for coming on, Georgina.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. But yeah, hopefully this gets watched enough, and those sort of people. I'm not going to call out Scott because Scott's one of our boys. You know, he comes on the show a lot, but we'll. I hope a lot of people listen, and I hope people get involved. They sort of see what's happening next year. But yeah, thank you much for coming on, and then we'll go to West Ham and Chelsea. What a big game! What's your prediction, Charlotte? I know you'll probably be doing a watch along on your channel that'll get you to shout out in a minute. But what's your score prediction straight up?
3-2 to Chelsea.
Ooh,
yeah. She had to.
I would. You're away as well. I mean, West Ham they've lost Antonio, and to be honest, I mean, Craig Dawson's suspended, but that's not massive. Yeah, you've got more to gain, especially after a draw.
Especially after our performance, which was absolutely diabolical. I thought Lampard had taken over our team again. Absolutely diabolical. We'll not be having that again. Tuchel needs to give them a right kick up the arse and be like, get out there and beat them. Because
Danny's here giving his support to West Ham, which I can't understand because they're all London. They're as much rivals as you, really. But yeah,
every time that every team around us dropped points, if we'd have won against Brighton, we'd have gone third. But because we are incapable when other teams drop points, we are incapable of winning. I don't know what it is. It's like our mindset just goes, we've got to lose. We've got to draw.
What do you think of Werner? What do you think of Werner? Let's have a little.
Too tiny.
He was my flop of the season.
yeah. Have a look at him.
He's not flop of the season. That's offensive. He's worse than a flop. Absolutely, you can't call him flop of the season. That's offensive. That's offensive.
You can have we'll give you Nketiah.
No, I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I'm going for a 2-0 Chelsea win in that one. I think West Ham on the side.
Yeah, I think
didn't look good against Newcastle last week.
As much as it kills me, I'm not just saying that because you're
they're coming off a loss, so I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea. To be fair, I don't like saying it, but it is what it is. Charlotte, I know you've got a channel, so before we let you go, give a shout out and let people know where they can find you, because I don't know how many Chelsea people are here involved, but it's a tricky one for me because Lee's bottled it there. Lee, apparently you're milking it.
I ain't bottled nothing. I just think West Ham are on a slide, mate. They're going to bottle their top 4 race. And I hate Chelsea. I'd rather West Ham win.
Yeah, Liverpool in the same situation. But yeah, Charlotte, give a shout out to your channel and let people know what you do.
Yeah, you can find me on Strong TV. We do a mixture. We do football watch-alongs. We do a Marvel DC show. We do a wine and football show. And we do wrestling watch-alongs and that a wrestling show.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. That's what you want. Flexibility. That'll get people watching. But thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I know you're doing one in about an hour. I know what it's like to stream all night, so we'll let you crack on. But thank you very much for coming on. I hope we collab again soon. I'll tell you what, if Arsenal got Chelsea, I know who I'm getting on my show, because that would be quite entertaining. And I think us boys would have a right good laugh. But yeah, it's been entertaining. Been a bit of a debate as well. So thank you very much.
Before we
yeah, mate.
Cut off. Are we still live? You need, before we move as well. Dan, get Georgina and you shout out your stuff as well before we move.
Oh man, I mean, I'm pretty much just on Twitter, to be fair. It's at Lil Trigger 2. Yeah, just try and put out what I believe in, and hopefully people can relate to it. Really. Thanks again for you guys having me on. This is my first time, so I hope I've been okay.
Has that been your first time?
Hope you've enjoyed it.
Hopefully we haven't. I was going to say, hopefully we haven't scared you off. We're not like not always, but
yeah, it's been interesting.
No, you've been
and
brilliant.
Just have a chat about obviously some I don't even know the word now. Some difficult topics, I'd say. So yeah, thanks for giving us the platform.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully we've done it justice. We didn't as men and stuff like that. I'm not putting words in anyone else's mouth. This is obviously my opinions, but it's difficult to speak out on it because we're completely naive. We don't understand what you go through in terms of having an opinion in the women's game, having an opinion on the men's game. So hopefully we've brought a bit of light to that, and hopefully we haven't crucified it too much for you.
No, not at all.
Cheers, Georgina. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Speak to you soon. Cheers. Boys, what a bloody night. Oh my God, right. Debate. But let's quickly go over some of the games that have happened and then we'll wrap up shortly, because otherwise we're going to end up having about 2 hours worth of work on Sunday. So there was Chelsea-Brighton, which we touched on, Leeds-Liverpool. Lee, let's touch on you first very quickly, because I know that affects you. You're a Liverpool fan. Obviously, Monday night game, a lot happening. Leeds-Liverpool 0-0. What do you make of it?
I mean, it was hard to concentrate on the game at the time because of the Super League kicking off. So, to be honest, I think the game really took a backseat. But in terms of the actual in-play, Liverpool were excellent in the first half. Got the goal.
You were.
Took the 1-0 lead, making chances. But again, it was just the same old story we've had all season. We're in and around the box, can't put it in the net. And then I don't know what happened in the second half, but we were a completely different team. I think Leeds had
stopped, didn't you?
Yeah, it's like maybe it's fatigue or something like that. I don't know. The players, their legs just seemed to go. They couldn't keep the ball, and Leeds were just going. And fair play to Leeds, creating chances. Alisson kept us in the game quite a long time. Nice to see him back in form, even though he got rid of his tash, which is a shame. But Leeds kept going, making chances, and they deserved the draw.
Lee, there was calls in the pod chat comments saying that you should do the tash.
No, there was not.
You can see them as well, you joker. You can see them as well.
Yeah, the only annoying thing was the goal we conceded come from a corner, and if good old Virgil was there's no way that goal's going in. I can't wait to have him back next season.
Yeah, I think that
was the right result.
You'll be a different monster next year, mate.
Top 4 hard for you now. What do you reckon? Still make it?
Well, we're only 2 points behind me.
Yeah, I think West Ham Chelsea's coming up at the right time.
Yeah, the good thing is Chelsea West Ham are playing next. We've got Newcastle on Saturday. I'm a bit scared of that game because it's the early kickoff, and as Mohamed Gandhi said, never back the early kickoff.
Yeah.
What's a shout?
I'm a little bit scared of that one. But if we can win there, then hopefully, obviously Chelsea or West Ham will drop points, puts in a great position for us when we've got United the week after.
Yeah, we had Villa City. I don't know if you boys caught up on it, but I'll tell you what a hell of a game. Two red cards, unbelievable.
John Stones doing John Stones.
I know. I tell you
getting
what,
out of form at the wrong time, isn't he?
Yeah. Howler. And then Tottenham winning it on the final death. I was so fuming because we dropped points. I thought, at least Tottenham are going to drop points here. I thought at least we'll sort of still have a chance of finishing above them, and then they go and win in the 90th minute.
As much as it kills me, though, as much as it kills me, credit to them, because to be fair, you could see them turning through the screws. Do you know what I mean? Like,
do you not think Ryan Mason looks homeless? I just think he looks homeless every time I look at him.
I wouldn't say that. He's got the old, the Scott Parker swag.
I get we can't. No, the thing is we're allowed haircuts now. I'd have let him get away with it like 4 months ago, but I looked at him and I thought that ain't Ryan Mason, is it? I feel bad because he's obviously. Hopefully, shit.
But I was a bit gutted they got the result. I think they said a stat during the game was like all season Spurs have not come back to get any points after being 1-0 down. After losing.
Yeah.
For them to turn it around, I was gutted.
Yeah, Foden was just a player that he was unbelievable last night. I literally watched it back. I watched it and then watched it back, and I thought,
how can you leave him out of the England team? How? You can't, can you?
He won't be.
He's got to be. Yeah,
he's got to start. He's got to start.
He's got to start. You're right.
Who do you leave out? Madison, Grealish? I mean, it's different gravy.
Probably at this moment in time, it's probably Grealish that gets left out.
Yeah, just because he's not fit.
It's going to be.
And I know the guy's got immense swag, and that's probably why we like him and stuff like that. And he's a baller on the pitch as well. Let's not get it wrong. But the fact is that he's been so out of. He ain't been involved.
Definitely, but boys, it's been a pleasure. We have. Yeah. Oh my god, we've been going. Yeah, no, we've been going for a bit longer than I thought it would be. Fair play to the girls for coming on.
That's been the most interactive chat we've had as well.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think it would go on as long as it did. To be fair.
Didn't enjoy getting coated for Liverpool there. I went in my shell a little bit, but
she didn't
even know that you were a Liverpool fan. I think that's what made it even better.
I had nothing to say back. She hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, but
absolutely crushed me.
We will be back Sunday. We'll be back for the roundup. Crazily enough, there is still football going on this weekend, but we are back to normal. Super League is gone. Any Arsenal fans, if you're around tomorrow, come to the protest. Me and Miller will be there. Unite together. Yeah. Let's stick together. Let's do this shit. But yeah, we'll be back Sunday for the roundup. Hope you've enjoyed. Remember to hit that button, and we shall see you soon. Cheers, boys.
Take care, everyone.